Hello and welcome back to Hitting the Bars. Will I introduce myself or not after last week's episode? Just silence. Just kidding. This is Keltie and this is Sav, and one day we'll nail our intro. We should have like a fun jingle or something. I don't know. Like some people have
jingle,
that.
Jingle, jingle.
They got like a little.
It's Christmas season. Like a little like, and welcome back to like, yeah, like Off the Vine with Caitlin Bristow's like, here we chat and we drink wine, and then it's like lots of wine, and it's like introducing Caitlin.
Yeah,
and she goes in. So maybe we just need to make our own jingle.
Honestly, I could do it. I'm just gonna take some sound clips of some stuff.
You could do it.
Stuff we say, remix it, put some reverb, a little auto tune, a little nice house track underneath, and we could have some fun.
Okay, just let's add that to your plate.
Yeah, because that's just what I need more. Because
yeah,
me having a mental breakdown before this, being like, I have too much work and I'm failing at everything and I'm trying to do everything and I'm doing nothing good and I want to do more, but I'm not even doing what I do well, and I just want to burn it to the ground.
Burn it to the ground.
You ever get like that sometimes?
But as you said this, you drop your camera and break your camera.
I did.
And I'm like,
you know when like you're doing too much and so you don't have time to like double check everything, and so you're just kind of like doing this and one step and like right there what happened is I was like go I was editing this morning and I filmed 2 shots and I have to go edit after and do the thumbnail, record this podcast. So I was like, hey, pop up my camera, put it down, and go. And then I'm putting it out, moving around, and then the tripod I didn't secure enough and it fell and destroyed my camera. Now positive side, it's still my baby. That's what guy's been through so much with me. I love it. And it's my like vlogging camera. It wasn't my brand new, really nice one. So people are seeing me in like 4K.
Oh,
like it's not my new baby, but this thing has been through a lot with me and I love it. And I was just going to bring it to Sweden. That's why I had it out. Like it's ready to go, travel the world. And she's going to the hospital instead. So that's a reminder if you're stressed.
Yeah. Can you fix her or what?
Yeah, it was probably going to cost a lot because of the screen.
Yeah. That's true.
The joy of adulthood.
It shows you got to slow down. There is, though, I think everyone can relate, when there is a season in your life where you feel out of control, you feel pure chaos, and you just hit a breaking point. Mm-hmm. We all have been there. Yeah. That's where I have been there with you, too. Yeah. That's where I'm like, let it out, girl. Let it out.
We're both in that. You're planning a wedding. You're moving, get a new house, came from your bachelorette party. It's all those kind of things. It all comes. And then you just hit a boiling point. And is that being an adult? It's just piling on too much till you break and burn it to the ground and start fresh? Is that adulthood?
Could be. Also, like, that is life. Yeah. And, like, have you ever had it where everything's going so well for you? You're like, I'm on top of the world. Mm-hmm. And then the next, you're like, I need to sleep in a dumpster tonight. Yeah. Like, I'm not okay. You know, that I just think it's impossible to have the high highs all the time. And anyone that's weirdly has made it through life having all the highs, you're about to have a crash. Okay,
watch out.
There was I saw a TikTok on how buffaloes like hate water, and so they run towards the rainstorm coming, because they know that's the fastest way they can get out, opposed to like running away from it, whatever it may be, to avoid the rain. And this person was comparing it to life, where like you need to just run headfirst into the rainstorm sometimes in order to get through to the sunshine, right? Like no rain means no flowers.
I like that.
Right? I loved that comparison of buffaloes. Yeah. Also, I thought buffaloes liked water, so I was confused. But
I like it.
Guess not.
Yeah, that's what my tattoo means. If anyone, the wave in the sailboat, it stands for the ebbs and flows of life, and this too shall pass. Because every time I'm stressed, I grab it and I tell myself, no matter how bad it is, this will pass. And on the flip side, when things are going really good, I remind myself, and this is a little pessimistic, but I think it's a good way, this isn't forever, so enjoy it. Because I think like sometimes like we're in the moment and life's going good, that you're like when you have a good season of work, I know me, I'm like, I've made it, it's forever good. And then now I'm like, this isn't forever, this isn't the normal, just enjoy it, truly soak in the moment, and then it's just ebbs and flows. And that's why I got this tattoo.
I love that. That's so cool. Insightful Keltie right there.
But
I didn't even know that you had that.
Do I take my own advice most of the time? No. I just take on more work and burn it and cry. Just like a normal functioning...
Burn it to the ground. Reminded me of Jenna Marbles when you said that. TBT to Jenna Marbles. I love her.
R.I.P.
Or I used to love her. I haven't seen her stuff in forever.
It's because she got canceled, but she not really. Like, did you ever hear about that?
I feel like you touched on it one time in a podcast.
Oh, did I?
But like, oh yes, you did. About like Barstool, all this situation with her. I don't know.
I think someone else might have, not me. Did I talk about that?
Okay, maybe it was a different podcast to listen to. Maybe. But moral of the story is we got to stop canceling people,
especially because
people make mistakes, and if they can own up to it and not continue to be an asshole, give them grace. Because man, Jenna Marbles was funny.
I know. It's all I think of, like, we can't ban people for past things if they've grown. I'm like, if they haven't grown, dig up the derp and show them. But I was like, if they've clearly gone past that, that's not like that. Acknowledge that they're better. Or on the flip side, if someone does something wrong, teach them what is wrong, and then like give them. Sorry, I got a call right at that very time. So if that you've just heard there, but if they are doing something wrong, give them the opportunity to learn a lesson and adjust. And then when people aren't learning, is like cancel. You've been given too many chances. But you know what I mean? We gotta give people a little grace sometimes, that we're all humans and not fully educated on everything.
Yes, I completely agree. Which kind of leads us into our topics today.
Perfect segue. Perfect. So,
am I a podcaster officially?
I think you just nailed it, that transition. But is the transition ruined because we're bringing it up? Too much of it.
Yes. We can't be perfect, okay? No. Ebbs and flows.
Yes. Sometimes, it's a hit and or miss. But do you want to talk about your girl? She just released a new album.
My baby girl, Tay T Swift, Midnights. Have you listened to it?
I have. I went through the full thing. I gave 2 full listens, and then I picked my favorites and added them to my October playlist. And so I've got my 5 faves, and I kind of said goodbye to the others. They weren't for me.
Okay, this is where that's problematic.
I know.
Is Taylor Swift music ages.
It's true.
It grows on you.
It's true.
It's sometimes you want the beat, sometimes you want the lyrics, especially because a lot of times Midnights, if nobody has checked it out, is essentially what keeps you up at night. And it's very relatable, and I thought it was cool because even Taylor Swift feels these certain fears that majority of us do, but we thought she's untouchable because she's so successful, right?
Exactly.
So I tell you to keep listening to all of them, because sometimes I'm like, I don't like this song, and then I play it again in a week and I'm like, I love this song. It just needed time to ripen.
Okay, I should rephrase. So, because maybe I should explain how I listen to videos. Cancel me. But I listen to things in a bit different ways. So, when I'm feeling Taylor Swift fully, I'm like, Taylor Swift, I'll go listen to the full album. But every month, I have my monthly playlist that I put my top songs of the month and do that. So, in fact, she got 5 of those songs in there. Usually it's 1 song from an artist that I'll go through the album, pick my favorite song, put it in that, and then I'm listening to a vast majority of different things. So that's different. That's she got 5 songs versus some of my favorite artists albums won't even get 1 for that month. But I will go listen to her whole album. Do you know what I mean? I just mean she got 5 winners that went in there that I just want to listen to nonstop.
So what are your 5?
So let me pull it up. Do you want to, what was your favorite? I need to see which one's made it for me.
I'll go through mine because I don't need to pull them up. I know them.
I love it.
So first, Midnight Rain. I freaking love it. It's so vibey. Michael also loves it. Some I played for him, he hated. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if we can be together. The disrespect, keep it to yourself.
Yeah.
But so he liked Midnight Rain. I love Glitch. I just love the vibe of it. I like how it's funky. I love Dear Reader. I like the lyrics to Dear Reader.
Okay.
It makes me want to cry.
Yeah.
I love Vigilante Shit, just because it's so badass.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm now disappointing myself. I'm there's one more that I'm obsessed with.
Yeah.
That let me pull it up. Because if you guys go, the 3 a.m. edition has extra songs. A lot of people are like, what's the difference? She has a normal Midnights, and then 3 a.m. is an added 12. Or sorry, not 12, 7. Okay, my last one is Karma.
Karma, nice.
And or You're on Your Own, Kid.
Okay.
That one's so good.
Okay, it's funny because almost all of our favorites are different, but it also goes to show, I think that's why we love Taylor Swift is, she does have so many relatable things, and it's kind of interesting the ones that relate to you, just showing everyone's different. But my favorite is number one is You're on Your Own, Kid. Like that one like hit me. I was like, oh, just like a that's too close to home. And then Snow on the Beach, I freaking love. Like something about like I love contrast in creativity and art. Like that's my favorite thing. Like something that's Salt and Sweetie, and like something that's like really feminine but masculine. That's like my favorite. So something about like Snow on the Beach, and she's like, it's weirdly beautiful, or whatever the line is. I was just like, that's like art to me. Like that's exactly that feeling of like it's so weird and it's wrong, but it's gorgeous. Like Snow on a Beach, it's wrong, but like so as a like me being I'm so artistic. I love it. I love it.
Are.
And then the beats, like as in like actual just like music, not lyrics. In Mastermind is like I'm walking with like a little bit of a swag to that one. I was like, I walked down to Parlor was having a pumpkin carving party at the bar my friend works at, and like I was like going downtown. Cool. It's like 8 p.m. I'm just like I'm feeling this. So those are my my top.
Wait, fun fact on that one. Apparently people are thinking it's about Hailey Bieber. Mastermind to getting Justin Bieber. Just putting that out there. Because apparently Selena Gomez posted it saying like, yes, she is to Mastermind, and everyone's like putting the dots together. I haven't seen. My friend Jordan just told me about it, but hot take on that one.
Comment on the Instagram, or if you
also that's super relatable to anybody that has tried to like curate meeting their significant other, which we all have been guilty of doing.
We've all done
it. To whoever you date, we've all done it at some point. So I think it's fantastic.
Oh, fully. Even like myself, like how me and Megs met. There was nothing about like we met online. There was nothing to like I put myself. I won't lie. Like once you start dating him, I'm like, I'm gonna place some things here and make this happen. You know what I mean? Like we're all like like occasionally I'm sure there is, but I think all of us girls are. Even though it's a funny dynamic. Like girls want to be courted. We want the guy to come to us, but like how much do we actually control? Like I have so many girlfriends or like people I've dated that you put yourself in the right situation. You like it's completely Mastermind to make them think they are courting you and like finding you and sweeping you off your feet, and you're sitting there being like, I've calculated every step,
every moment.
You're
100%
falling into my plan.
Oh yeah, I had this guy that I had the biggest crush on in high school. Like for a year. I had this thing where I would crush on people for a straight year.
Yeah.
And then I'd plot how I was going to like talk to them, because I was not a cool girl to like shoot my shot. And there was two guys that I literally would stalk for a year straight and then try and convince them to date me. The one I actually did date, and the entire thing was curated by me. Like in the sense of like, hey, like would tell a friend to ask one of his guy friends like if he's still dating his ex, or like if he has a crush on somebody new, and then like I would get his schedule. Oh, it was so creepy. And I would like walk near him in that schedule, so it was like fresh on the mind. Then I'd have my friend go and ask like the friend, like, what do you think of Savannah? Like she just ran into him, you know? Oh, we dated for a little bit. It was like success.
Oh my God. Amazing. See, you're a Mastermind.
Broke up with him because I thought he was really boring once I actually got to know him. But that literally was why I broke up. I was like, I can't.
Sometimes we like
I don't want to watch extreme couponing. Yes, we like the chase. Absolutely.
And like there's something about like how many times it's a trope at this point of like a guy's not into you, or you're not into a guy that's into you, and so you're like, oh, he's like 100 things wrong, you never date him, and suddenly he's no longer into you and he's into someone else, and suddenly you're just like, why am I attracted to him all of a sudden?
They're like, more attractive.
I know. Yes. Why are we like this?
Yes.
So bad.
100%. Once they're like eating out of your hand, you're like, nah, I don't want to date you. The minute someone else shows interest, you're like, wait, come back. What are you doing?
Yeah. Or you go to break up with a guy and you're like completely done, and suddenly they're just like, oh yeah, no, I'm done with you too. And you're like, wait, what?
Yeah. Me?
I want you to.
No, I was going to break up with you.
I want you to cry. I want you to say like, I'm your everything. And then I have the ick and never want to talk to you again.
100%.
Are we complicated?
Sorry, that was a tangent. I'm like, are we low-key a little toxic? This was like also probably our villain era in the past. But also think about it. Like this was us in the past. When we were young, you don't know. You're already insecure. So a lot of times you're searching for validation. Like 100%. At least I can't speak for others, but for me, definitely was an awkward person. Was, you know, like it was my era of, I felt like I glowed up. Like I was kind of made fun of. And then I like hit puberty and they're like, oh, she's pretty. You know? And so I was like, revenge! So that's where I I'm like, low-key, it was probably toxic and like manipulative or whatever it is. Like, we were trying to get a crush. You're in freaking high school or college, right? Yeah, like we wouldn't do it now.
No.
Or would we?
You never know. But like I think that's the step of it. It's like the insecurities we have, like the validation we're trying to get through them. And like, so like guys, like, you know what, that's one way to get it. And suddenly the guy is no longer interested in you. And you're like, wait, is it because I'm not pretty and I'm not smart and I'm not funny? And your mind just starts going. And there's so many mind games, especially when you're young. I find you're like the later in your 20s, early 30s is when you start to like, you're so confident in yourself that you're like, I don't care if you don't like it. I'm staying like this. And I think that's what confidence is. But that's just like, God, crippling insecurities in your teens and early 20s. It's just a way of life.
Oh my gosh. 100%. Oh, yeah. So that was Mastermind. And we all, like, I'm sure a lot of people have related to that. And we're just ones that would admit it.
Exactly.
So what's your next songs that you like?
Ooh, I think those were...
You did 3.
Yeah.
Don't you have 5?
I realized I have 8 that were saved, but those are my favorite 3. But the ones that made it to the list were Mastermind, Lavender, Haze, Maroon, Antihero. Yes. I won't lie. Antihero, I think I'm deleting from there because I know it's going to get overplayed. So
it's already overplayed.
I'm kind of like, I hate to say it, so I'm like, I almost want to take that off because I'm like, I'm going to grow to hate it. But that's on there. Snow on the Beach, You're on Your Own Kid, Midnight Rain, and Question. And those are the ones that made it. And actually, I was
good.
I was in a mood and I just put Mean in this playlist too because I heard it at the bar when we were in Nashville, and so I was like, you know what?
I love Mean.
I'm kind of feeling that, and like it hits to some past wounds. So I was like, yeah, I could
100%
embrace it.
Oh my gosh, I have like a vivid memory of Mean. I was at her concert. I think it was her Speak Now concert. That's what the album Mean's on.
Yeah.
And I was literally dating this guy that I told you that I broke up with because I thought he was boring and we watched Extreme Couponing. And his ex-girlfriend, like, they had been broken up for like a year, but she just like naturally didn't like me because that makes sense. Like, I was dating somebody she dated a year ago. Yeah. And so she was just mean to me, like just mean in classes, like rude, gossip about me just because like she didn't like that I was dating him. And I remember, like, at this concert, like, literally screaming and crying my eyes out to Mean.
Yeah.
You're like, why are you so mean?
It's so funny. Yeah. I love that about, like, and it's why if you don't listen to Taylor Swift and you're like, oh, I don't get it. This is exactly what I'm about to say is why everyone's, like, so obsessed with her. How you just express Mean, it's like it fit into your life so much. I have a moment with Mean, and it's a completely different way. For me, it was, like, the guy I was dating was mean, and he was always like pushing me down and being like, no, your goals are stupid, like, and it was to suppress me so I wouldn't, like, I hate to say it, that's like grow bigger than he was. A very simple guy, very, wanted to go to Mexico once a year, 9 to 5, like, anytime I had a big dream, he's like, that's stupid, don't go for it. And like it was very much that, and that's why I got out of the relationship. But like, so I hear that, and it's just a reminder of like, look how far I've come after I got out of that, and you mean asshole. So, but it's interesting versus yours is like the girl. So it's like it speaks to everyone, even though it speaks to your own specific story, which is always kind of cool.
Yeah, it's almost like it's so specific in her songs, but also evergreen.
Yeah,
in a sense of like, you can relate to some extent, like even You're on Your Own Kid. One of my like friends texted me and was like, is this not literally the story of one of our best friends, like in her past, like growing up, and she's like, this literally is what happened to her in the story. And you're just like, how is that possible for you to make a song that is so general but then yet so oddly specific?
Yeah.
Or even think of All Too Well.
Yeah.
Like, of course, we don't have scarves from our exes, but we all can relate to some extent of it, right?
We'll have some item and all that, and it's just like, or that's the metaphor in itself. And like, I love it. I love it. You should start a YouTube channel. Swifties? I don't think I was like, you should just have a YouTube channel, Swiftie Nation or something. There's definitely one of those. There's got to be 10 trillion at this point. I was like,
Keltie's like, I opened up Pandora's box. I allowed Savannah to talk about Taylor Swift.
I find it because it's like,
oops.
I love it, like just the little bit of difference, because I feel like I'm a big Taylor Swift fan. I'm waiting up. I want to wait up to midnight, but as soon as I wake up, I'm downloading the whole thing. I'm listening to it thoroughly, diving into it. But like, I'm not a Swiftie. and the difference. And like, it is crazy of like a Taylor Swift fan versus a Swiftie. Not many artists can say that. Like, I'm a big fan. Probably it's going to be one of my top listened to songs. And I still don't earn Swiftie title. Like, what she's done is just chef kiss.
Oh, yeah.
She rules a generation.
Swiftie is, you got to be kind of crazy. I don't even think, I would say I'm a minor Swiftie. Like, I love her so much, but like, I'm not good at like stalking everything she does. Reading, there's this girl in my new program. Her name's Evelyn. Shout out. She listens to our podcast.
Love you.
She loves, so I have weekly calls with my girls, my new program. And she loves Taylor Swift so much. And we all do. So we were talking about it this week. And she knew all of this dirt on her. Literally, she's like the encyclopedia of Taylor Swift. And I was like, you were a proper Swiftie, Evelyn. So shout out to you, because you one-up me and I'm upset. So I didn't even know who half the guys she dated was. I was like, clearly I don't know enough.
Just enough like to like listen, and like when I'm listening I kind of hear for an Easter egg and see if I can ever spot one, but I'm not like doing a deep dive and find it. It's more just like I'll wait for someone else to bring it up. I'm like, oh, that's fascinating. And I'll appreciate, but I won't find, and that's the difference. Yeah,
100%. And then if a podcast brings it up, like they brought up Taylor Lautner's, like the storyline of a lot of them, like back, she must have written some songs about him, and I'm like, that's fascinating, but then I don't like look into it. I'm just like, I could see it next time I play the song.
Also, how weird has it got to be to date someone with the same name as you? Taylor Lautner and Taylor Swift?
Oh, totally. Isn't she already dating a different Taylor?
I honestly don't know the name.
Am I wrong?
What's the name of her boo? Taylor
Kravitz?
Swift's
Am I wrong?
boyfriend.
Yeah, I also thought he was a DJ, and I got that wrong. Oh, Joe. I thought somebody said she dated another Taylor. So it must have just been Taylor Lautner.
No, yeah.
Do you remember Valentine's Day, the movie, when her and Taylor Lautner made a special appearance?
Oh, yeah. Like, I remember that being a thing, but, like, I don't remember a second for it. But I remember the commercial, oddly enough. Maybe I didn't see it, I just saw the commercial.
Oh, he also, like, married a normal girl, like a fan, and that just gives everybody hope.
Oh, I love it.
I don't know if she was a fan, but, like, she lives not in the spotlight.
Yeah.
And he's freaking Taylor Lautner.
There gets to be a point.
Just, like, snaps.
That's gotta be, like, as much as, like, you don't, I think, I'd imagine, want to date a fan in that situation, there gets to be a point where you're so big that, like Justin Bieber, you don't act, there's nothing more cringy if, like, Justin Bieber walks in a bar and you're like, oh, I don't know who that is. I'm like,
totally.
Like, you don't have to be fanatic, but, like, are you just live under a rock? Like, there gets to be a point, like
you are trying to play it cool.
Yeah,
100%.
So, like, did he date a fan or just dated a normal person that hit the jackpot?
I have this friend. I won't say who it is. She was at my bachelorette party, and I'm sure you can guess it.
I know the story.
Your head. Did we talk about it at the bachelorette party?
Did I talk about it? You told me in the past.
She's like my unicorn. Like, I talk about this experience because I think it's so cool. Even like, she never talks about it, and I'm literally like, I'm going to shout it to the world. I think, like, I'm using her to explain this story. So, like, one time her and I were going for a walk, and she's like, what's like the weirdest celebrity that's ever slid into your DMs? And I was like, no one. She's like, well, Justin Bieber. I'm like, oh my, of course. She's stunning. She's literally one of the most beautiful girls I've ever seen. Yeah. And she was like, well, he was in his party era. And I'm like, I still would have said hi. Like, he invited her over to personally train or whatever. And I'm like, he was staying at the Montage in Laguna. I'm like, you live in Orange County. It would have been a 20-minute drive, woman. Yeah. You could have had his bodyguard there. He's not going to do anything. Like, I would have just gone just to say I met Justin Bieber. But she's like, no, it was in between, like, Selena Gomez and Haley.
He was single. So it's one of those, good for her, though. She's like, I knew it was back and forth. And, like, you don't want to get involved in that. And you realize you're just maybe you just genuinely wanted a workout from a really beautiful woman. So I doubt it.
Married him. Could have not gotten a prenup. Set for life.
Oh, we're going that way. I was like, now that's mastermind set. I'm just kidding.
Right? No, but I'm pretty sure Hailey Bieber did not get a prenup. And I think that, like, is comical. That, like, Justin Bieber and her did not get a prenup.
It gets to be a point where I was like, I mean, when you're both so well off, that it's just kind of like,
I don't think she was at the time when they first, like, got together. Justin Bieber is, like, mega.
Yeah, I know. There's a vast difference, but, yeah. I get it.
She's like gotten bigger now, especially now that she has Road and things like that. But I remember it just being a controversial topic in the media.
Oh, yeah.
With not having a prenup, which I don't even know if that's really true. I think they just maybe said it. Let me see. Does Justin Bieber and...
I feel like everyone now, just to make it easy, should just get a prenup, just so it's never like you obviously hope you never have to do one, but I just think it's best. Like, just one of those things, just get it done. There's no stress about it.
I agree.
And you just
know some people... Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to be like, also, I think, like, especially in situations where one spouse earns more than the other, it's just a nice way to just be like, I'm 100% marrying you for you and not your money. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's, and it sounds so bad, but like, there is, I know people that know people, no one like personally, but I can definitely vouch on names, like people that have married someone, a man who's had a lot of money. It's typically that way, and I hate to say that's just the only situation. It can obviously be reversed, but married a guy and then they got married, and a couple weeks later, suddenly tea comes out and suddenly it's no longer going, and like that does happen. So you know what I mean? So I think obviously it can go, gender doesn't really matter with this situation, but you know what I mean? Let's just all sign a prenup, just be like, I love you, money doesn't matter.
Totally.
Maybe that's
and I think it's a touchy subject as well, because it was not discussed a lot in the past with like maybe the previous generations. And like I know that some people have vocalized that they think like prenups mean you're already thinking, like recently I literally had a conversation with my friend about this, and she's like, to me a prenup means you're already thinking about if you divorce. And I'm like, I understand that, like the sentiment of thinking you're gonna divorce, but sometimes it's just realistic and professional and less messy. Worst case, think about like writing a will. Like of course you don't want to die, but if you're thinking about like what I should just prep for it in case, and maybe that comes from people that, you know, grow up with like divorced parents, so you just have seen the reality of sometimes and like how hard it could be for, and how messy and how expensive it can be to divide up your assets and things like that. So especially if you both have your own company or have your own entities, whatever it is, like assets, like just to be realistic, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think it's very modern, and it just saves a lot of headaches sometimes if you want to do it.
Fully. The previous generation was just like, and this is, I grew up in a house that like you never talked about money. Like it was just never spoken about, and it became such a taboo subject that like I moved out at 18 on my own with no knowledge of money, absolutely none. And like, so it's taken me even like a decade to get a half decent relationship with money. So taboo. And even like in my career now, like no one talks like about money or how much they make. And so many companies I know have like ripped off smaller creators, even myself, and like I'll talk to other people and like, oh, I made this much, and I'm like, what? Because it's just like no one talks about taboo, so no one talks about finances. So I think like also that's why things like prenups and that are so taboo. It's just like that whole thing, and I was like, as soon as we start talking about it, it just takes away the mysteriousness, and like then we all just do it and it's not that big of a deal. And I think it saves headache for a lot of people, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's also like there's a high percentage of marriages that end in divorce due to, you know, like finances. So if you do get it all out in the open, and also like don't be afraid to fight for what you want in a prenup too. You could still say, hey, I want X, Y, and Z. It's not like it's so black and white of like this is yours and this is mine. Like you could at least discuss it, but that way it just saves any headache, kind of like you said. And I also read this thing that like, you know how people don't talk about money? They like don't talk about how much they make. It's like very tacky if you do. Personally, I think that is ridiculous. I think we should always be transparent. It could save people money. It could like help them in the end. And I read something that like the reason why it was so taboo to talk about was like bosses made it seem like it was taboo and tacky to talk about. So, you know, employees didn't go back being like, oh, wait, you get paid more than me? Like that way it just was hush hush, and they could kind of get away with like not paying a certain amount. And I don't know. I get some people think it's tacky. I just do not. I think it's so good to be transparent, so you don't, especially even in our industry when like there's no cookie cutter Glassdoor, see what the average salary is or something like that. You could literally work with a company Like, we literally talked about a company recently that, like, paid X, Y, and Z, and then when you talk to them, they claim they don't, you know? Like, it's just, transparency is so important. Could save you money.
Yeah. Okay, prenups and all that. Someone who hasn't signed a prenup, let's get back to it. So Taylor Swift, we went on a long tangent, but Taylor Swift, she sparks many things. Speaking of which, she sparked a lot of drama. So was it in, I think our favorite one, Don't You Worry Kid, or not Don't You Worry Child. What was the one? You're on Your Own Kid?
Anti-Hero.
Oh, it was in Anti-Hero. Okay. I forgot which one it was in. Yeah. So.
You were way off.
I was like, honestly, I haven't watched it. I haven't watched the episode, so this is also...
You haven't watched it?
But I've just seen the clip of the one part and the lyrics. So I was like, oh, I don't actually know what song it's from. I just saw all the headlines and whatnot. So do you want to explain what happened? Because I'm assuming you've seen the full actual music video. I've just seen the 10 seconds.
So the music video, Anti-Hero, is kind of like playing on like insecurities that Taylor Swift has had in her life. So like a big insecurity she had was like being really tall. And so in the music video, she like makes it all fantasy, like whimsical. So like she's like a giant when everyone's having dinner. And like they don't want to be with her because she's a giant because she's too tall. It's like things like that you worry about people not liking her. And I'm not that educated on it. Like, I haven't done a lot of research on her past with this, but I guess in the past she had an eating disorder. And she kind of highlights that as one of her insecurities in Anti-Hero, being like when she would step on the scale. And in the music video, she steps on a scale and it says fat. And I remember when that came up, I literally was like, oh, are you allowed to do that? Like, I remember thinking that's very controversial to just like blatantly say fat. And I just thought that was interesting. But it's her life, it's her insecurities, and it's also her art. So Taylor Swift does no wrong to me. So I just knew like that could be problematic for a lot of people, especially just like with this day and age and the culture that we have of people canceling people for certain things. So that's essentially what I guess a lot of dietitians came out, and a lot of people online just saying like that, especially that dealt with eating disorders and deals with anorexia or whatever it is. They said that like it really upset them that she used that in her music video and it triggered them. And so she ended up removing it completely and just re-uploading the YouTube video, taking out the entire scene of her stepping on a scale with the word fat.
And I know, and for me, I've thought about this so much, and I think I see so many sides, and like half of me is like, yeah, I'm so glad she took it down, and I was slightly disappointed about it, but at the same time, like I was so happy she talked about it, because where my first initial experience, and this is my own, is like I found it like really kind of nice knowing someone who in my mind was always this like tall, model-esque, beautiful girl, had no issues. She was just a singer and just flawless, and nothing ever came hard to her. And you know what I mean? And it's just like, and I remember always looking up to her. I was like, oh, it must be nice. And like you kind of have that all. And it was like, as someone myself who's experienced many of bouts when I was younger of like my own body image struggles and like never feeling like I was enough, like seeing like someone who in my mind is perfection also feels that pressure. Is it something like, oh, it's not me, it's society in a whole, that like whatever, it's the media and all that, it's painting this pressure, and like we all have to kind of go against it. Do you know what I mean? But we're in it together, and it's not just like, oh, some people, and there's people who don't have issues in that, but I guess I enjoyed it from that standpoint. But at the same time, where my mind starts to be like, ooh, is with the term, like I've tried to, and I'm not perfect, I'm not gonna get this 100% right, but with like the terms like fat phobia, and that her putting just the word fat there is kind of saying fat bad. You know what I mean? And like the kind of the idea is like we're trying to say she's 100% allowed to feel insecure, and that she was always told to be skinny, and the pressure, and that's understood. But it's also the side of being like, we're trying to change the narrative that like fat bad, fat evil, fat skinny good, skinny, you know what I mean? And it's just like, I think that's like the narrative, and that was like the problem, which I agree with, because it's just even like something for myself, like we all saw her step fat, and you think bad, not good enough, and like that's kind of the narrative everyone's trying to change, but still respecting her journey. And like that's why I was like, and it was so nice her sharing it, and we're not allowed to tell someone else that they're right or wrong. Do you know what I mean? Your own journeys, your own journey. Saying so personal. It's an eating disorder, but it's a tricky one to share your own vulnerabilities publicly, because to be 100% vulnerable, sometimes you're not 100% correct. Do you know what I mean? And like that was her pressure, and that was like what she did. But when she's 100% honest, that's also in the public eye feeding the negative narrative. And then, like I said, I could go 100 ways. I was like, sometimes art, I think we shouldn't tame down art, because, you know what I mean? It's its own personal reflection, and we should maybe like, sometimes I think just open up the floodgates and let everyone just fully tell their story, and that's how great art is made. But then, we also have to be conscious of other people's triggers. But at what point are we being overly trigger sensitive? So like this, I said, I didn't even give an answer there, because I was like, it's crazy how much impact just one word is on a scale. Like, it's mind-blowing when you think about it.
100%. And I think it's interesting in the concept as well of like, I mean, I've heard some other perspectives on this, because you and I both love listening to The Toast.
I love it.
And they are very like unapologetically themselves. And I thought it was an interesting take on Claudia, who she kind of even brought up like, it's not, in a way, like it's understandable because you are like generalizing it when you use fat. But then at the same time, like, what is the proper term for her trying to explain how she felt when that's maybe how she did feel, because she was raised in a different era, that's how it was described, you know, growing up, maybe when she wrote the song, I have no idea. But even like Claudia highlighted, like, you're literally going to be offended at anything the minute you step out the door. Like, the world is not going to cater towards what you're comfortable with. And we do have to like remind ourselves with that, which I just thought was fascinating, like an interesting point, because we all get offended at something we see, right? But yeah, it's like, that's life. That's like, literally, there's going to be different takes on things. There's going to be debates. There's going to be people that view things in a different way, right or wrongfully. And it kind of bums me out in a way, like, I guess I don't even have an answer, kind of like you. I'm like indifferent with it, because I totally see the points. All are valid. I just think as a Swiftie myself, it makes me sad, because when she gets, like, in the past with Kanye, when she got hate, she went away. She went away for like a year. You know, she didn't release music that apparently she was supposed to release because of it. And like, she just kind of shut off, and she had a documentary on it too, which is fantastic. That kind of talks about why she doesn't like sharing her life anymore, and why a lot of her songs are about other people, because she doesn't want people to know about her life, because they've attacked her for her life. So I loved that Midnights was actually about her life. Because like Evermore and what's the other slow, I don't even know.
I know the one
What's the other
about.
slow album?
I know
Yeah, those were like all fairy tales, like stories of other people's lives. So I was like, oh yes, like finally we get to hear about her life again, because that's what I liked. And almost like this, I hope, doesn't make her not want to share her life again. That she's like, I tried to share an insecurity, and like, she's probably didn't go about it the right way. Which I'm also like, you're Taylor Swift. How did you not have like a publicist that was like, what the frick are you doing? Like, maybe this is curated. I don't know. Maybe she wanted the debate. But she doesn't seem like someone that does. She just likes putting out her work and her fans. And I just hope it does not, like, make her not want to share her life again.
And I think,
makes sense.
Oh, fully. And I think one thing is, like, you even said she's so private. And, like, opening up about eating disorders are so tricky, because, like, I think it's really nice that she finally is. And, like, a lot of women will feel understood. But the tricky thing with opening up as soon as you talk about your struggles, half the people feel heard and half feel triggered. And it's just kind of the reality of the mental health topic. And like, I don't have the answer. I'm not smart enough. Just someone who's like dealt with my own issues is just like, I think it's, people really love to feel heard, but at the same time, like, people don't want to feel triggered. And I don't think she was, I bet you they didn't think too much about it. They just like, she was just trying to say she used to go on the scale, and no matter what she weighed, she was never good enough. And I think that's what she was just trying to indicate. And they just like quickly were like, just put fat. And like you said, people, maybe that was not the right choice, because like we said, we're trying to destigmatize that fat equals bad, and it should just, and like, I think that's an important place for us all to get in, because I think triggers are so complicated, because everyone every word can trigger someone in some ways. Just like I'm allergic to avocado doesn't mean the whole world should get rid of avocados just because of my one inconvenience. And then but so it's a tricky one in that sense of like, at what point do we empower people to get over their own triggers? But at the same time, how do we respect people and their mental health? And I think we're slowly as a nation, or a world, not just a nation, like figuring it out. Do you know what I mean? And this is just another example of us just being like, this is a lesson we're all learning together, and we don't really know the answer, because at the end of the day, we're all just trying to say we're all going through shit. Taylor Swift goes through shit. She overcame it. She's trying to express it in her autistic way so people can relate and not trigger people. And I think that's super complicated. And that's why there's so many different ways. Like, we're all just trying to do the best we can.
You nailed it right there.
Yeah, I tried. I just I see all sides. And it's just crazy. I was like, how can a 3-letter word cause this? Like, I'm really hopeful that in like 10 years we get to a point with weight and all this that like someone's just like, I weigh 156. Someone's like, I weigh 210. I weigh 109. Everyone's like, cool. It means nothing. And like, I hope we can just get to that place that like there's no stigma behind it. And it's just because it's I just hate that the conversation about women has to be our body size so much. Like, we're so much more than that. And like, there's so much, and everyone deals with it in their own way. So I hope we get to a place one day that we're like, we're all beautiful. I hope you're healthy. I hope you feel good. And I hope you don't have to go through shit to get there.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And yeah, it is like, I guess like she doesn't even really address it. Like, she just kind of took it down because maybe she just didn't know how to. Yeah. But it created such a ripple that even people were like so angry at her and like, I'm not even going to support her. And it's like I said, don't cancel people. It is something that like, I'm sure she was not trying to be malicious in any way. She's just trying to put out a freaking music video because she never does. Yeah. And then when she does, she gets freaking canceled. And when I heard that, I was like, oh, are you kidding me? The girl just got out. Like, the girl finally stopped re-recording those albums. Finally posted a new one.
And she's like, so she's like, finally, like, I'm going to open up about this. And the world's like, no, you aren't. Just like,
they're like, go back in your corner.
You're like, you didn't open up properly. And it's like, damn it. So I just like, I feel as someone who's very flawed, I'm like, I feel that you're finally like, hey, I got this. Someone's going to relate and be like, and miss. Like you said, I think it all comes down to intention. And I don't think her intention was to feed a negative narrative. I think she was more just opening up, being vulnerable.
Totally. And it's like, it's your own perspective and your own past, and you cannot change the past. Like, if that is literally how you saw it, what you were taught back then, you cannot alter it. Like, it's gonna stick with you to some extent, right? Or even when you just tell the story, it's, if you don't want to alter it, that was the cold hard truth of just what she had seen, right? Maybe, I don't know, I'll just forever stick up for her, but
for sure. Even like you could even debate the point. It was like, we could use a different word, but I was like, does using a different word matter? Like, you know what I mean? It still is all the same, you know. I mean, we all know what you mean. And like, it's like, some people, like, I know Jackie debated that on like the toast this morning, and like, it's just there's just so many different ways. And I don't know. I definitely don't know the answer. You could sway me every which way, because I was like, everyone's going to have a different opinion, and I just want everyone to be happy.
Totally. And yeah, you're right. Like, maybe when she wrote it back then, maybe that's the term they used. You know, like early 2000s, that was definitely a term people would use.
Well, that's the funny thing about art, and that's why I even touched at the beginning, is like, at what point do we want to dilute art? And we realize if we're going to bring up things 10 years ago, they were 10 years ago. So I hate, like, I'm just going to put it in her 20-year-old head. She would step on that scale, she was skinny, and she would go on that, and that word is what she thought she was. And like, obviously, I know there's a lot, but I'm just saying in her mind, and it sounds absurd, but like, just the media, because the media, there's plenty of articles that have just been like, I feel like I'm using it like a swear word, but calling her like fat and all that. There's plenty of those headlines. So that was what it is. And now we realize that we're like, we should celebrate all body size, and we shouldn't equal fat equals bad, because it's not. It doesn't mean you're ugly, or it doesn't mean you're worth it. Shouldn't, like, there shouldn't be any negative connotation behind it. But at the time, it was, and it was representation of them. So like, it's a tricky thing with art. Like, do we want it to be 100% accurate, or do we want it to be 100% politically correct? And that's tricky.
Totally. Even maybe it was, you know, forums or news articles, or maybe someone even telling her it at school, right? Yeah. Like, there's people at school that call you horrible things when you're a child. And
yeah.
Yeah, it's not going to be politically correct 99% of the time. But that's like where you hear these like atrocious, like extreme things, right? Like, I definitely know I was called that in the past when I was a kid, right? Like, they're just mean bullies.
And on that note, we summed it up, so we might as well sum up this video.
We had another more topics, but I feel like we chatted for a straight hour about this, so we'll wrap it up here, and my cell phone's about to die. So perfect. I'm like, I can't continue to FaceTime you.
Well, there we go. We'll carry those on to next week's episodes, those little bonus ones, so we'll do that next time. But, moral of the story.
Also, I do want to say a disclaimer in the sense of like, we don't ever want to trigger anybody when we share this. This is just truly two girls having a chat on FaceTime for a podcast. And, you know, just keep that in mind. We're not professionals. We don't know the right answer. I don't know even what's politically correct in this sense, but we think it's important to be transparent and highlight things that people don't usually talk about, and they think it's taboo. So I just want to put it out there because I'm like, I would never want even our podcast to make people feel
fully
triggered in a way, but it's like there's things that we just wanted to cover that we thought was interesting, and we're just trying to relate, and that's what, like, we're not coming on as professionals in any of this by any way, but we just want to come in and like say different opinions we've heard and our thoughts and just continue the conversation, because like we said, I think at the end of the day we want you to be heard, and we just want everyone to be like happier at the end of the day. And the only way we get there is everyone speaking their own truth, as cheesy as that is. And we just keep like figuring it out and do better with like good intention to, like they said, we never want to trigger anyone. And if you're listening, you're beautiful. You're amazing. We love you. Thank you for listening. And we hope you enjoyed the conversation and didn't feel triggered. And if we did, we sincerely apologize, because that was definitely not our intent. Like, that's why we try to say every side, because we're like, we understand there's so many different sides. Yeah, absolutely. Well, with that being said, Keltie, have a fantastic time in Sweden with your boo thing.
I can't wait. Thank you. Have an amazing time in your new house, and hopefully you have internet soon.
Oh, I know. Guys, if people are watching from the YouTube, I'm at my friend's house in their guest room recording because we have zero Wi-Fi at the moment, and we have one bar for a hotspot, so it just does not work. So I'm thankful to have friends that allow me to steal their Wi-Fi.
Yeah. So thank you for making the effort, and until next time, we'll see you next week. Love you.
Bye.